Hi, Democrats. It's Tuesday, October 6th. I need to shout out to Logan. Happy birthday. So it's time for my daily live, and it's me. So, I'm going to talk about making your plan to vote. There are four ways that you can vote in the November 3rd election. First thing you need to do, or first thing you need to know is that Friday, October 9th, this Friday, is the last day to register to be able to participate on November 3rd. So if you know anybody, young, old, they've never voted before, they didn't believe in the system, they just got off paper, whatever. If you know anybody who needs to register, they need to be registered by Friday, in order to be able to participate in the election on November 3rd. So on to the ways to vote. So you can vote from home, and you can either hand deliver yours to the election board, which is what I do. I hand deliver it, and I can only hand deliver mine. Otherwise, it's ballot harvesting, which is not legal. You can hand deliver it to the election board. You can put it in the mail and make sure that it arrives at the election board no later than November 3rd. If it arrives on November 4th, even if it's in the morning, it will not count. It has to arrive by November 3rd. Third way is you can vote early. Early voting in Oklahoma is Thursday, October 29th, Friday, October 30th, and Saturday, October 31st. So it's the weekend directly before the election. And in most counties, early voting takes place at your county election board, not at your normal polling place, but your county election board. If you're in Tulsa, early voting is going to take place at the One Oak baseball field. It will be in the concession stand, as I understand, and they're doing it that way because there's more room to move about, and make sure that we are safely socially distanced. And then the fourth way to vote is obviously voting on election day in person, Tuesday, November 3rd. If you have the kind of job where you have to account for your time and your boss watches your time, you have to notify them in advance that you plan to vote, and they have to give you time to vote. It is an Oklahoma law. They have to give you time to vote, but you have to give them warning. So there are a lot of things on the ballot this time. I printed off my sample ballot, looked at it. It's 3 pages long. I understand in Oklahoma County, there are 9 charter amendments. There's a lot of stuff to vote on, not just the presidents. And so in Oklahoma, we enjoy what I call voter privilege, in that we rarely have to wait in line. But it's a presidential election year, and so chances are you will have to wait in line. And so we're going to encourage you to please stay in line. If you are in line, not pulling into the parking lot, not thinking about it, but in line before 7 p.m., they have to let you vote. So stay in line, stay in line, stay in line, stay in line. And so I always talk about voting from home. I like to talk about voting from home. And so today, I've actually gotten a lot of questions about, are they starting to count the ballots? What happens if all the ballots aren't counted? Will it be December before we know? And I don't know all the answers to that, but I've invited Bruce Niemi, who is from the Tulsa County Election Board, to talk to us about the process of counting early ballots. Absentee ballots. Because when I don't know, the best thing is to bring on an expert. So from what I understand, Bruce, thank you for joining me and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
What I understand, in Tulsa County, they're going to start opening the absentee ballots this Friday?
Yes. So far, 57,000 ballots have been sent out, last count. And pardon me?
Did you say 57,000?
Yes, to Tulsa County. Pardon me?
I said just Tulsa County?
Yes, in Tulsa County. And 12,000 have been received so far. So that's a monumental task ahead of us. I'm sure that Friday and Monday we'll probably be working 8-hour shifts at least in order to get those counted. to get those qualified, first of all, and then counted, secondly, because they are fed through a scanner once they're qualified. And that number is not kept track of to anybody at the election board, but rather is stored on a jump drive for that machine that will then be actually made public after 7 o'clock on Tuesday, which is another reason why we need to have those ballots in the election board's hand at 555 North Denver by 7 o'clock on election day.
So I have a question. You said qualified. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit more about what that means?
Well, there's several things that are examined. First of all, the affidavit, that envelope that contains the secrecy envelope, that has to be either notarized or have a valid ID. And the valid IDs are ones that have not expired and are issued either by the federal, the Oklahoma, or tribal governments. Those IDs will be accepted. And so such things as a driver's license, a passport, a military ID card, even a Oklahoma medical marijuana card is accepted as a valid ID. But the expiration date on that ID, for example, on a driver's license, has to be after the election day. So if your driver's license expired on October 31st, that is still not accepted. Also, a voter registration card is an accepted valid ID card. So either one of those issues, either the notary or the valid ID, has to be present with the affidavit. And the affidavit has to be signed. I've seen otherwise good ballots thrown, even ones that have the IDs or notary or whatever, thrown out because they didn't have the signature of the voter on that. So these are the kinds of things that the auxiliary absentee voting board examines, and then if those are thrown out, then the election board examines and actually votes to qualify those ballots. And at that point, the secrecy envelopes are opened, the ballots are laid out flat and fed through a scanner. And
Okay.
then those ballots, after they're fed through the scanner, are boxed up just like the polling place would, and they're sealed in a vault, along with those jump drives that I mentioned.
So if someone is part of that process, and who does that? Who is actually opening the ballots and qualifying them?
Well, the election board staff actually feeds the envelopes, the sending envelopes, through a opening machine, and that's done by the staff. Then those are examined by what I mentioned as the auxiliary absentee ballot voting board. And if those are thrown out, any of those that are thrown out, those are finally examined by the election board itself. And then an actual motion is made whether to accept or reject that ballot.
Okay, so it's not like going through a machine. There's actual human beings who are going through verifying.
Yes. The auxiliary boards are staffed by people who have previous experience as election inspectors or clerks or whatnot, so they know what they're looking at. Then the election board itself are the three members, two from the Republican and Democratic Party, and then the county board secretary.
Okay. So, what do you think the chances of? And I won't hold you to it, But what do you think the chances of us having our absentee ballots all counted all over the state by November 3rd? What do you think the chances of that are?
Oh, there's no problem with the absentees because of that cutoff. And then those numbers will be posted separately as absentee ballots uh, in the count. And that's usually done by about 7:30 the evening of the election. So all of those absentees from across the state should be uh, posted by the 7:30 time frame.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask you on to talk about is I want you to give people the peace of mind, and it sounds like you have, because all of the national media is talking about how the ballots won't be counted until December, and it's going to go on and on and on. And I keep saying, week after week, I say that doesn't have anything to do with Oklahoma. Oklahoma has a process. Our ballots will, our vote from home absentee ballots process has been in existence for a really long time. They have it down, and our ballots will be counted by November 3rd. Am I saying that accurately?
Yes, the states that the buzz that's about the ballots that won't be counted till later are states that don't begin the count of absentee ballots until the close of polls on election night. So I believe one of the states is Michigan. Uh, Michigan ballots will have to be counted out and then those numbers sent in. And depending, I mean, if you have like what we'll have on Friday, the 12,000 votes or so forth, it could be hundreds of thousands in a state like Michigan that's that big. And I think that that's where the concern is uh, uh, that they won't be counted until weeks afterwards or something of that nature. But here in Oklahoma, your absentee ballot, if it arrives by 7 o'clock on Tuesday of election day, that will be counted, and that count will appear by about 7:30 in the evening. Those will be the earliest returns. Those and the returns from the early voting.
So, what are the chances? I'm trying to like dispel all the myths and worries out there. What are the chances of those numbers being published earlier and swaying the? So, if you're feeding them through the machine before the 3rd, is there someone at the election board who knows the count?
No, that's all uh, just put on a jump drive like that appears in any election machine, election voting machine. And those numbers will not be released until that time, nor will they be seen by staff or the election board or the secretary or anyone else until those are published after the close of the polls.
And so I just need you to confirm for me as well that the thumb drive is going to be put into the machine. It's secure because our machines aren't connected to the internet, which means they can't be hacked.
That's correct. Yeah, they will be they're taken out each day at the close of the election board's examination of these ballots, and then they're put in like a plastic baggie. They're locked in a vault, like one of the small vaults, and then that small vault is also locked in a big room uh, that is controlled by the sheriff's office. The sheriff is the only one that has the key that actually opens that vault.
Awesome. Awesome. So I appreciate you providing that inside look as to what's going to happen to absentee ballots, because I have been, since January, encouraging people to vote from home, and then COVID hit, and I really hit it hard. We got to vote from home. And there's all of this misinformation / voter suppression out there that's trying to scare people from voting from home. I believe that it's safe. I believe that Oklahoma has a good process, and I needed to bring on an expert to back me up.
Well, I hope I gave some expert information there. As you know, Alicia, I just joined the board about a year and a half ago, so I'm in a learning process. But what I imparted to your listeners is just the information that I've gleaned from experience and from being exposed to election law and the regulations of the election board.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Bruce, I appreciate you. And I appreciate you sharing that information. And so what I want to say to everybody is, as I end, like I always end, find a local candidate or two to help. They need your help. We need to make sure that they get elected. We are under attack. We need a little bit more balance in our state legislature. And so we need your help. Find a couple candidates. Sharing is caring. I will be back tomorrow with one such local candidate, and that is Cindy Munson from State House District 85. So join me tomorrow, learn more about her, figure out how you can help her. You guys have a great day.